I think it's safe to say that most human adults have experienced some level of physical or emotional pain in their life. And I can't guarantee that we're all sitting around raving about it and saying it's the funnest thing that we've ever had to do. However, the human experience of being in this world of planet Earth involves pain and suffering. Our bodies naturally age. It's inevitable that we have to deal with these things. Yet all the time I hear my clients say that they don't want to move forward and do something new because they don't want to get hurt or feel rejected or, all of these things that fear of experiencing pain holds us back from living our life. And it doesn't mean you take stupid chances. It doesn't mean you jump off a building just for the sake of it. But it does mean if you're afraid of going after somebody because you don't want to get hurt again from your past relationship, then you run the risk of staying single and not getting to experience the companionship. So, usually on the other side of fear is something great that we have to push through to get. But oftentimes, the fear of pain holds us back for going after that. So, what I figured we'd do today is talk about the 5 tips that I've used for my life to manage pain, both physical and mental, that have helped me propel forward in times of darkness to move past that and move forward to the goals that I really want to achieve. So, little backstory. I have been in chronic pain most of my adult life. I had my first back surgery when I was 18 years old. I was unable to walk or move out of my bed for multiple years in my 20s. I had rods and screws in my back, and I've had multiple surgeries, including one 6 months ago that was really intense. And I live in chronic pain on a daily basis. Now, if I have been just going the regular route of taking, narcotics and not adjusting my diet and not doing anything to control my mind, I would be a full blown drug addict at this point because I wasn't predicted to be doing as well as I am. And a lot of that has contributed to the fact that I chose to do alternative things to help manage my pain. However, you don't need to have had such a dramatic story in physical pain to be able to use some of these things because you've probably experienced deep emotional pain in your life. Like, think about a breakup, think about a loss, think about a rejection that's gotten you tied up in a cycle of emotional pain that keeps you distracted and not feeling well and in bed and not being your best self. And a lot of times, if you don't know how to get out of that and literally pull yourself up from your bootstraps, you can get stuck in these cycles and that can then dictate the rest of your life and what's going to happen or not happen. If people tell me one more time they're not going to do something because they don't want to get hurt again, I'm like, that's crazy to me because pain is inevitable in this life. Even if you find the love of your life, there's still a possibility that you can lose them. Maybe you spend all these years together and you have a notebook ending, there's still loss involved. So to say that you never want to experience pain again is impossible. And it's really just a fantasy that you're living in. So I think it's much more sensible and logical to put together tools and tips to control your pain so that we can just keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, the first technique I'll teach you is about controlling your breath. One thing I remember I would say to myself all the time is, what if this is it? What if this is what I'm going to feel like for the rest of my life? How am I going to move forward if I can't even deal with this level of pain and suffering? And what I learned is that you can control it with your mind, right? The pain is still there. Now, if you broke your leg and you need to go to the hospital, please go to the hospital. Don't, but on the way there, when you're trying to stay present and not pass out if you're in so much pain, focusing on your breath can be really helpful. So I remember once I was in the hospital, my spine was shattered. I was in so much pain. I was screaming. My mom grabbed me. She says, "Hey, calm down, focus on your breath, slow it down." And I just remember looking at her like she was crazy and then being like, "Okay." And she breathed with me and she was like, she learned it from Lamaze class from birthing because women give birth with incredible amounts of pain with no drugs. So that's the first step that I learned in like being able to kind of manage it. So she told me to imagine a whole screen in front of me being bubbles and just closing my eyes and imagining my pain as bubbles. And with each breath in and each breath out, you blow some of the bubbles away. And you keep doing that until you blow all the bubbles away. That's a great technique for a headache. It's a great technique for, a minor sprain or something like that. It's also a great technique if you're stuck in a cycle of obsessing about something you're sad over, to just blow all the pain and stress away can be very helpful. Meditation in and of itself is literally just focusing on your breath. So if you sat with a monk and he told you for 2 hours just to focus on your breath, that's a lot of what they do. So that's meditation. And that's something that might seem counterintuitive, but the more you focus on the pain itself, like the more I sit here and think about how much my spine is just like screaming at me and how much it hurts, that's going to be the consumption of my view of my world today. And it's going to get louder and heavier and more painful. And so if I kind of push it aside, slow down, stay present and focus on something else, it allows me to stay distracted away from that and not consumed. And then this is going to help me not take Advil or Tylenol or all this like fake stuff that's going to ruin my liver, and be able to just like really focus on something else. Another thing I always like to do is 4-7-8 breath. So you would breathe in for a count of 4. You would hold for a count of 7. Exhale through your nose for a count of 8. Do that a few rounds, and that is going to get you out of that fight or flight, that response that is going to keep you in anxiety and pain and suffering, and help you just focus on something else. The other thing I like to do all the time, especially for emotional stuff, is EFT. And if you can look on my IGTV videos, I have a few other tactics, and like if you want to look the actual way to do it, you can look on the EFT video that I have for body positivity. And you're just going to say positive mantras that are truths in the moment and what you want to be different about what you're experiencing right now while you tap all the points. So I understand that I'm not feeling my best right now. I also understand that it's within my control to feel better. I trust that my body will do the right thing to push through this moment. I understand that pain is temporary. I love and appreciate my body. I will get through this. And literally just keep tapping on all the points, saying positive things about how this will pass and how you trust that your body will push through it. So that, and then emotional things like, I understand that this person left me. I understand that they weren't right for me. It's okay to feel sad. I will get through, and keep tapping through the emotions. It's best to do it for 15 minutes if you can set a timer. 3 to 5 is also good. The other thing I would say is there's like a progressive muscle relaxation technique. So a progressive muscle relaxation technique is literally just focusing on all of the muscles from your toes all the way to the top of your head, your fingertips all the way to your arms, tensing them, letting them go. Tensing my palms, letting it go. Flexing my forearms, letting them go. Now, if you're in physical pain and this is too difficult, you can literally just focus on each muscle group and imagine them tensing and then letting them go, which is just as powerful. The other thing I will say too is when we're in deep states of pain and suffering, it's very hard for us to think clearly, to remember what makes us feel well. So what I like to do is keep a list of things that I know keep me really happy or keep me healthy, or whatever it is. So for me, it's like healthy, stable meals. That's a big one. Whenever I went through my surgeries, I would have my fridge stacked with just like clean, light, lean proteins and vegetables, so that there was always something there nourishing for me to eat. So I wouldn't be tempted to go after something, carby and sugary that's going to fulfill that momentary pleasure, but isn't going to help me in the long run and make everything worse. And then I like to just keep all the stuff, my essential oils and, lotions that feel luxurious, like a nice bath with Epsom salts or any of those things that make you feel happy and whole. Keep those on the ready and keep it on a list. So when you don't feel well, reference the list like, oh, right, I should do that right now, instead of just like ordering takeout and binge watching this horrible show. Or maybe you need to binge watch a little Netflix, put a timer on it. Don't turn it into a cycle. And then the last thing I always like to do is write a list of 3 things that are tangible for me to accomplish. And they could be as small as taking a shower. But there's something very satisfying about writing your list and then checking it off. So when you're in a deep depth of depression or physical pain or emotional pain, it can literally feel like your days blur into the next. And it can be very easy to not get anything accomplished and then feel even worse about yourself, because not only are you suffering, you now are just shirking all of your responsibilities. And that brings even more anxiety when we start to avoid life. So I think it's really important to pick 3 things every day. Like this morning, I literally felt like I couldn't get out of bed. I was like, okay, the 3 things you're going to do is you're going to make your morning green juice, you're going to take a shower, you're going to get dressed. And what's funny is as I did all of those things, the momentum of feeling accomplished has actually propelled me through the day. And now it's mid-afternoon and I've gotten a lot of things accomplished. I've been recording videos. I've been moving around. Even though I'm still in physical pain, I feel accomplished because I was able to move through it. So the other thing I will tell you, and this is profoundly number 1 of what I do for my pain management, is guided meditations. I have a guided meditation for pain management. You can buy it in my store on CaitlinInspires.com. And it's a guided self-hypnosis tape with embedded commands that will literally teach your mind and teach you a trick and tool that you can use that you can go into kind of a meditative state and use this. It's like imagining a knob and turning your pain levels down. It is magic. I used to use one of these from another provider when I was in my hospital bed. I would lay on beds of ice. I would lay my essential oils. I would bring all my own sheets. I would bring all my own food, and I would listen to guided hypnosis meditations and breath work during my time in the hospital. So it would help me not have to take as much drugs, which were very difficult, made me sick. And self hypnosis has just like changed my life because it's truly giving your subconscious mind embedded commands to then change the way you operate moving forward. So I would definitely suggest going to my website, CaitlinInspires.com. It's super affordable, and buying the pain management guided meditation that you can use for emotional or physical pain. And if you're really struggling with how to manage this stuff and you need a lot more help, definitely book an enrollment call with me, because chronic pain and suffering for loss and breakups and everything in between and spinal surgeries, I've learned a lot about managing pain and understood how powerful it is to learn about who we are, to get to the core of who our character is, and really understand that we are a lot more powerful than we give ourselves credit to. And we have a lot more control over our mind and our bodies than we realize. So I encourage all of you to practice some of these techniques. And if you need me, find me at CaitlinInspires.com. And I just want to continually spread the message of how to learn to live and look and love better, because when we learn to do all of those things together, our lives become something greater than the sum of its parts. And I want you all to experience that too, no matter what level of pain and suffering or what level of happiness you're starting out with. All right. I'll talk to you next time.